Yeah, when I was heading to law school many years ago, someone said to me, aren't there too many lawyers? And I was like, well, there aren't enough good lawyers. And we're going to need a lot of really good lawyers to litigate the hell out of this because, longstanding part of U.S. law is that the government cannot engage in viewpoint discrimination. It can't pick losers and winners. It can't put its thumb on the scale. And it's extraordinary, the notion, just the hubris, the arrogance, the authoritarian bullshit, pardon me, of this administration to think that they have some right to go into classrooms and censor what's taught. At a university, at a private university or a public university that's under state leadership, not under federal leadership, it's extraordinary. And the idea that they're going to try to use the IRS this way to destroy or assail Harvard's nonprofit status, which it's had, since nonprofit status was allowed in this country, merely because it refuses to be part of this shakedown game of Trump. It is just so incredibly destructive and extraordinary. And we're going to have a lot of rebuilding to do when we finally push back on this administration and end this brief period of madness that we're watching unfold right now. It's just so extraordinary. But I wanted to add one thing because I had this epiphany last week when it came to Doge. And you know how these right wingers are, saying, F your tears or fuck your pronouns. I was epiphany, like, why are we calling it Doge? Like it's, a Venetian prince. It's dodgy. We should just call it dodgy.
I like that.
It's dodgy, man. And it is all sorts of just shakedown nonsense. It is repressive and it also is grifty. So yeah, I'm going to call it dodgy from here on out.
I'm on board. You have converted me. We're going to call it dodgy. It is what it is. And also Doge was about, his meme coin crypto fascination as well. But I think you're right. What part of what they're testing is the level to which and the speed with which people will capitulate. And unfortunately, we've seen, universities immediately capitulate, and we've seen law firms capitulate. And so the problem isn't simply that they're testing the boundaries. It is that they are finding people who don't have the courage to stand up.
Well, that's right. And the idea, like the thing about dealing with a blackmailer is they don't come for you once. They'll come for you until they bleed you dry. So the idea that any of these law firms think that they've gotten away with some sort of agreement with Trump that's going to protect them from further squeezing is utter delusion. And it's contemptible. Some of those law firms have, histories of devotion to civil rights or human rights, and they capitulated for the money. In part because, they're corporations. At the end of the day, they don't have a conscience per se. And they have a desire for profits at, no matter what, even if it means cutting a deal with this reprehensible shakedown artist who is the president of the United States. But anyone who follows, crime stories, crime TV series, crime books, whatever, anyone who has any sense of awareness of how shakedowns work is you have to know that you don't get free from someone if you give in to them. It is an endless demand from someone who would threaten the way Trump and his operatives have threatened.
Absolutely. The moment they know that they can bleed you, they will bleed you dry. And it's hard for people to understand that. But I think we were talking about Niemöller and the famous, first they came for the socialists, but I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew. We often read that and take it to heart as a warning about standing up for the least of us, the most vulnerable. But it's also a reminder that he was a fan of Hitler. He helped to make Hitler palatable to moderate religious folk in Germany. And there was no amount of loyalty that he could demonstrate that protected him. Once Hitler had enough power, everything he was inflicting on synagogues, he began to inflict on Reverend Niemöller's denomination. And that's when he began to fight back. And that's when he ended up becoming Hitler's most famous prisoner. And later came to the realization and spoke out against the exactly what's unfolding in our country right now. So I think the entire story is instructive in this moment, because it reminds us that there are people who are aiding this authoritarianism and capitulating to it. And he offers the warning that you cannot appease tyranny.